Hi, I'm Beryl, and the theme of this week's episode is toast. And if you feel like you're having deja vu, toasts. It's because this is part 3. A couple of things before we get into the video. It's March, so we picked a new book for book club. We are reading They Called Us Enemy by George Takei. It is about his experience in the Japanese internment camps in the United States. I picked it because I thought that it was fitting in response to the rise in Asian hate crimes in the US. I will leave a link to the book below if you want to join the book club or if you just want to read it. I think that this is a great graphic novel. It's very interesting, very good. Also, the artist behind me, this is Fend. They go by the name of Fend. They are a comic book artist, and I think that you could probably understand why I was so drawn to their work. I just think it's absolutely fabulous. I am leaving links to everything, and always, the links to recipes, even my earrings, it's always in the description, so you can always just look right down here for all of that fun stuff. So, the toasts today are from Vietnam, Malta, the USA, the Netherlands, and the UAE. So with that, let's get toasted. Toasty. Let's go.
Hi, my name is Vanessa and I live in Los Angeles in America. My favorite way to have toast is Vietnamese shrimp toast. This is a Vietnamese street food that's commonly found in coastal towns where they catch the shrimp fresh every single day and use it as soon as they catch it. For a lot of Vietnamese Americans, we make this at home as well. My grandma used to make this toast for my mom all the time when she was younger. Now, whenever I get to visit her, she makes it for me as well. It's such a great little afternoon snack that we can eat as we spend time together whenever I visit. It's a piece of French baguette that's sliced and dunked into batter. You put some shrimp and onions on top and you deep fry the whole thing. This is optional, but you can dip it into some hoisin sauce and sriracha if you would like. Personally, I like it plain. The salt and pepper from the marinade makes it just right. I love this toast recipe because it's decadent, super crunchy, and perfect for an afternoon snack.
Okay, first toast is this Vietnamese shrimp toast. I hope I did this right. It looks good because it's fried. Yeah, it's good. I was worried that my shrimp wouldn't be cooked, which is kind of silly because shrimp cook if you like stare at them too long, you know? The batter is good. So in Vanessa's recipe, she was saying that you can use the shells of the shrimp, which is really common in Vietnam. The shrimp that I bought already had their shells removed. I kept the shrimp tails on. It's interesting, in the US, I think people don't really eat the shells that often, but they're just like really crunchy. And if you haven't tried the shrimp shell. Say that 5 times fast. If you haven't tried a shrimp shell. If you haven't tried a shrimp shell, I highly recommend you do it. They're just really crunchy and it's a great texture. The batter is like a little bit sweet maybe? Or maybe that's coming from the onion? Oh. Where's it coming from? I only made 2. Kind of wish I had more. That was a fabulous start. Let's have more toast.
Hi Beryl, hi everyone. My name is Luca and I live in the small country of Malta. My favorite toast recipe is a family recipe based on fusing traditional Maltese sandwich recipe with bruschetta, the traditional sandwich recipe called Hobs bizzeit. This dish was taught to me by my mother. You have to first spread some tomato concentrate on a slice of bread, then drizzle olive oil and sprinkle salt and pepper. Top the slice of bread with any combination of toppings such as olives, capers, canned tuna, tomatoes, and then cover with grated or sliced cheddar cheese. After topping the bread, put the toast in the oven and cook till the cheddar is bubbling and getting some browning. The recipe is super savory, especially with the umami that is provided by the tomato concentrate and cheese. The use of melty cheese also makes this toast very comforting and perfect as a simple snack.
I feel like this is the most beautiful tuna melt that I've ever seen in my entire life. Oh. Mmm. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. Like, it's beautiful. I have never used tomato paste as a spread before. Genius. This is also kind of giving me that Jordanian toast that we did in the last episode vibes, but that idea of like a bruschetta type of toast, like, Oh my goodness. This is freaking good. If I see that a recipe has capers and Kalamata olives, I know that I'm in for a treat. I love saltiness, and the saltiness from those are like the best. And I just, pairing it with tuna is just the wisest thing you could do. The tomato paste is really what I love about this though. It's got so much flavor, and you have the juiciness from the tomatoes, but the tomato paste, it's like a punch, like a really good punch, the type of punch you want. If you want to be punched, put tomatoes. It's a beautifully constructed toast. Luca, your mother, cheers to her. Come here, last piece. Get on here. This was an 11 out of 10.
Hi, my name is Erin and I live in Birmingham, Alabama. One of my favorite ways to have toast is called milk toast. It is a very obscure, very old recipe that usually is made for people who are very old or very young, or sick or sad. It's a very obscure recipe that I first found out about when I was reading an MFK Fisher book. The Art of Eating is an anthology of hers that's made up of her 5 best-known writings, and this particular recipe is in the last one, which is called An Alphabet for Gourmets. To make it, you toast some bread, and then you butter your toast. You can sprinkle a little sugar on it, or you can sprinkle it with salt and pepper, and then you warm up some milk, and you can put a little bit of butter in the milk if you want some extra richness, and then you can either put sugar or salt and pepper. And sometimes when I make it, I will break up the toast and pour the milk over it in a bowl, but usually I like to dip the toast into the warm milk. And when I first read it, I was so intrigued by it, and I absolutely had to try it and loved it. It's a really rare recipe that is essentially almost dead. It's one of those recipes that we've kind of lost to time, and it's a taste that maybe takes a little bit getting used to on the first bite, but especially if you're feeling a little ill or you're a little bit sad, it can really set you back to where you need to be.
Okay, we've got milk toast, which I think at first glance seems a bit interesting. I am using oat milk because my body doesn't love milk. Well, this is 10 times better than I expected. Erin kept saying that it was a very comforting dish, and I think that tasting this now, I totally understand that. There's something very nurturing about this. And I don't often eat warm milk, and I don't really recall as a child getting warm milk, but I like this. I also like the salt and pepper on the toast. I never put salt and pepper on toast, and it's really good. It's not, Erin's right, Erin's right though, the milk doesn't make the bread soggy. it's just like a quick dunk, you know? You're not like letting it linger. So I didn't know who MFK Fisher was before Erin brought her up, and I had a look at who she was. She's an incredibly interesting American food writer who was born in actually 1908. She said that eating was one of the fine arts of living, and I really appreciate that. And I feel like that sentiment is totally on brand with this channel, so I'm very excited to read more of her stuff and look at other things that she's written. I believe she's written 27 books. So there's a lot to dig through there. This would be really great at like 11 p.m. after I ate my dinner and maybe after I had my dessert, but I'm watching something and I want one more snack. Like, that's when I want this.
Hi, my name is Rochelle and I live in Victoria, British Columbia in Canada. Growing up, being half Dutch, one of my favorite breakfasts was hagelslag, which consists of a slice of any toasted bread that you'd like, butter, and the hagelslag or toast sprinkles. Hagelslag directly translates to hailstorm and was first invented in 1919 by the director of Venco, best known for licorice in the Netherlands, hence why hagelslag was first aniseed flavored. It is said that a hailstorm inspired the creation of hagelslag, although I always thought the name came from the sound the sprinkles make as they hit the toast. Today, hagelslag comes in all sorts of flavors such as aniseed, fruit, and chocolate. I love to have hagelslag with a cup of coffee to help balance out the sweetness of the milk chocolate.
Okay, we have hagelslag from the Netherlands, which is kind of reminding me of roti bandung from Indonesia, where like maybe you just kind of gave up halfway through because you were so hungry. So you were like, yeah, the sprinkles is great. We'll just go with that. Chocolate bread, you know? It's good. I feel like there's just chocolate now. All in my teeth. I don't think that you really can go wrong with chocolate. The nice thing about this is I feel like a lot of people have sprinkles in their house because one time they wanted to have an ice cream sundae, so they bought sprinkles, but you could only buy sprinkles in this big box, and so now you have a ton of sprinkles, and you're like, what am I gonna do with all these sprinkles? You're gonna make toasts. That's what you should be doing. What I find more interesting about this is that it started with licorice flavor, and that does not seem my cup of tea. When we were talking about foods I don't like, black licorice is very, very high up on that list. I really don't think that there is anything you could do to black licorice to make me like it. Truly, truly. So the idea of having black licorice on toast seems absolutely not up my alley. But I feel not alone because obviously enough people agreed and like the whole country shifted, in essence, to chocolate. I like the storyline about the sounds of the sprinkles falling were like thunder. Did it sound like thunder? It sounded cute. It sounded like a fairy footstep. It's chocolatey, it's got crunch, like the sprinkles are crunchy, and the bread is soft, and it kind of like melts a little bit with the warmth of the toast, so it's good.
Hi, I'm Dana. I'm half Iraqi, half Kuwaiti, and I live in the UAE. I'm going to tell you about a very traditional Iraqi dish named rashi ou dibis. It's a very common food eaten in Iraq for breakfast or for a snack. First, you need rashi, which is basically tahina or tahini. Add a big dollop of that into a bowl, and then you need your dibis. Dibis is basically date syrup or date molasses. So it's a very thick, dark paste made of dates. You need a big dollop of that as well. Then you need to just mix them both together. And normally you would have this with Iraqi samoon, which is a type of bread. But if you can't get Iraqi samoon, you can also eat this with pita bread, or you could also eat this with toast. A lot of people don't know, but Iraq was actually the biggest producer of dates in the world in the 20th century. Unfortunately, that's not the case anymore, but there's still a big culture of dates and we have it in so many different ways. That's what you do. You dip it into the rashi ou dibis and you take a big bite. It's delicious. And the way of saying this is so delicious in Iraqi is كلش طيب. So you can say that once you try this and you will love it.
Okay, final toast, this is really interesting because I have never thought about tahini in like a dip sense. Like it's always been something that I mix in to make a dressing or some sort of marinade, so cool. Ooh, savory and sweet. I want to look at the date syrup. Okay. Well, it's not telling me much other than that it's made out of dates. A very surprising combo that I've never had, and I've never had anything like this, and I do like it. Anyway, I love finding new uses for ingredients that I have already. This was actually an idea that somebody brought up in our Discord to take one ingredient and show, like 3 or 5 different recipes to use with it, because sometimes you buy one ingredient for one dish and then you're like, now what? And now you've got, this jar of cuttlefish ink in your refrigerator and you still don't know what to do with it. So it's just sitting there and mocking you. And I don't know, maybe that's how people feel. This was another fabulous toast episode. I tried so many amazing things, delicious things. And as always, and I'm going to say it again, recipes and links to everything are going to be in the description. And yes, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.